Welcome back to Everyman Prepping. And there's a lot of people in Northeast Ohio right now, near the town of East Palestine, that are having their own SHTF moment. It actually started back on Friday when a train derailed, carrying toxic chemicals, caught on fire, exploded, and is burning up to this point right now. In fact, the authorities today did a controlled explosion so there wouldn't be a catastrophic explosion. We're going to go through that a little bit in detail, but then we're also going to talk a little bit after that on are you ready for something like this in your neighborhood? Are you prepped for this? Would you stay? Would you have to go? Do you have somewhere to go? We're going to talk about all that because when things like this happen, it gives us a chance to go through and do a little check on our own preps to make sure we're ready for something localized to happen. Not a catastrophic worldwide SHTF, but our own local SHTF. So please like the video, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying what you're watching. So what we're going through here today is an article that says that authorities have announced a planned chemical release, like I mentioned. There was a 150-car derailment. It happened on Friday night. It was carrying a chemical polyvinyl chloride, PVC. And, we know that makes pipes out of mostly. A lot of other plastics are made out of it. But about 10 of them derailed. 5 of them had this in it, and they're burning basically out of control out there right now. And said to alleviate the risk of the shrapnel from either a catastrophic explosion or the controlled one, the Norfolk Southern Railway is planning a controlled release of the chemical at 3:30 today, and that's Eastern time, so it already happened. We'll go through some pictures of some of what happened when they did that. And it says the controlled release has the potential to be deadly if inhaled. So, if you're in that area, did you evacuate? Did you not evacuate? Let us know below. It's a great time if you are in Ohio. And you're in that area, what did you do? What did you experience? We'd all love to hear from you of what is really going on. And it says here the governor ordered immediate evacuation of a 1 mile by 2 mile area surrounding. I don't know if they're requiring it, if they're throwing people out of the houses or not, or if they're just going and knocking. If you stay quiet inside, if you can stay. But we're going to talk about that a little bit more further also. And it said here, it said law enforcement has been knocking on doors of the area Sunday night, ordering people to leave. And they say, we have no knowledge if anybody has left. Also, there's another quote here. The process we're going to do today, we're going to place a small shaped charge. It's going to create a hole 2 to 3 inches in the tank car. This will allow the chemical to come out of the tank, go into a pit they built. Basically, I'm paraphrasing now. And there's flares in there, going to light on fire and do a kind of a controlled burn, hopefully, and burn the stuff off before it explodes. Now, back to what they said about the sheriff coming around. I don't know if they're forcing people to leave, if they're just telling them. Like I said, it'd be great to know from on site, if anybody's in that area from East Palestine and what they did. What would you do? If the sheriff came up and said, you got to leave. But if you leave all your stuff there, you're going to be open to looters, theft. Maybe you figure if you stay, you can put a fire out, if it happened, something like that. But then you have to deal with the chemicals. The first thing to think about, would you leave or would you go? Would you send everybody in your family out, which is probably what I would recommend is you send, if you have kids, a spouse, something like that, you want to send them all away somewhere safe, and then you stay to basically watch your property and protect it. It's an option. Everybody's got to make their own decisions, but that's something to start thinking about. Now, here's a picture from Friday. You can see the train derailment there. Like I said, it's in Northeast Ohio. And it says they earned hundreds of residents. I think they did like 4,800 residents now have been told to leave in that area. A few in Pennsylvania as well, but most of them are in Ohio. Saying that the rail car is still at risk of a potential explosion that could launch deadly shrapnel for up to a mile. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they're saying. You can see from the photo here, it looks densely populated, which is a good thing. So not as many residents around that could get harmed, but you can see the huge crash and the fire. And it says they warned of a potential of a catastrophic tank failure after a drastic temperature change was observed in the rail car. I don't know if the cars got super hot and they're afraid they're going to explode, but that's why they're, telling everybody to leave. One last thing on the update here. So let's go down a little bit here. We see that at 4:45, an explosion has happened at the scene of the train derailment. This was a controlled explosion as officials released toxic gas from one of the cars. Then it says in the video you can see below, but it's actually up above here. I know it's small, but let's see here. Let's get this going. You can see in there. Let's see if I can blow this up. What happens if I go full screen? Let's go see what it goes here. Let's see what happens there. You can kind of see better now. The fireball is going off. That's the controlled explosion. That's what they did themselves, and you can see the plume of smoke being released up there, and all the fumes. Those are all obviously toxic fumes. So that's what they did today on purpose. So let's shrink this back down, and then they gave some photos here. So as you can see from the photo, the big black plume of smoke. And this kind of gives you a better view. And I don't know if all this gray and black is the toxic fumes from there, but if it is, that's a lot of stuff in the air. And that's something that, well, you'd have to prepare for if you wanted to stay. So let's talk about that and get into the subject now of what you would do. So we know that's what's going on in Ohio. Like I said, if you're there or people are there, if you could comment down below and, let us know what they're going through, how they're doing, that'd be great. But so let's think about this. Where you live at now, go through. Are you near a railway? Are you near a river or another canal that they transport hazardous material on? Are you on a large highway or a route that they transport hazardous material on? So check your roads, your railway, your rivers, your canals, all that stuff around your neighborhood. Do a survey. Figure, would this happen? If this happened in my area, am I close to it? If so, you need to think about what would you do? Friday night. Train goes down, you see explosion, you hear it, toxic. What do? Do you have your bug out bag ready to go? Like I said, do you send your family off and you stay behind? Are you prepped to stay behind? So things that come to mind to me right away is, okay, do I need to put blackout, blankets or shutters or, lock down my house so if the sheriff comes and he knocks, I'm inside, being quiet. You can't see any light out, so he doesn't try to haul me away forcefully. If that's what they're doing, because I want to stay. So think about that. What would you do to conceal yourself from the sheriff or whoever, the police coming around to evacuate people? Like I said, blackout shutters. You're going to have to use minimal light. You can't be cooking, can't have smells. So the food you have inside, you got to eat without cooking. You have MREs, some freeze-dried food that won't make a lot of smell. Canned goods you can just open and eat. Think of things like that. Health reasons. Now, they say there's toxic fumes. So do you have a gas mask? And I'm not talking about like the cheap Israeli ones a lot of people get. You can hope those work, but do you have something maybe from Mura Safety? A nice, regular, good mask gas made, to filter out all these type of chemicals. Do you have enough canisters, filter canisters to screw on to last long enough for you to stay there? Something to put in your inventory. Make sure you have enough. You guys, say, how long are they good for? No one really knows that, but depends on how much is in the air, how long it's going to last. But you're going to need more than one. I mean, I can tell you that from prior experience in the military. That one canister is going to run out just during training exercises and all that. So if you have your gas mask, a good one, like I said, from Mura Safety or somewhere, do you have 2, 3, 4 canisters to go with it so you can go a day or so until this fires out, until this emergency is over. Think of this: you got to eat and drink with that thing on. To drink, do you have a drink tube that goes to a canteen that works? Like I said from experience, drinking out of that is very slow and painful, and it's hard to do. Or do you pop that mask off, hold your breath, chug down a quart of water, and put it back on? That's something you can do as well. Just have a plan. What are you going to do? Eating. You're going to have to take that gas mask off to eat, right? So, do you, take bites in between mask on and off? Do you just, take a chance and wolf down foods within 5 minutes and figure you'll breathe in a little, then put the mask back on? Go through it all in your head. What are you going to do? Have a plan, like I said. Have a process. Practice. Try eating, drinking with your gas mask on. See how comfortable it is or uncomfortable it is, and you can do it. Also move around the house, and see how restricted you are. So go through that. Make sure you have all those things ready to go. Secondly, you're there to protect the house. So do you have personal defense tools? Make sure you're trained up on that. How to use them in your house. I guess how would you clear your house, how you would make sure if someone came in, how you defend your home, all that stuff. On top of that there's obviously threats of explosion, they said, and shrapnel. So for explosions, if embers are going everywhere, do you have, is your water ready? Is your water working? Did they cut the utilities? Do you have, backup generator to power your well and your pump? So you can, use your garden hoses to put out water. Do you have fire extinguishers? Things like that to put out the fires if there is one. Do you have a very good first aid kit in case, you are hit by shrapnel? Do you know how to use it? Do you have quick clot type stuff to stop bleeding? Do you have tourniquets? bandages, all that stuff. Like I said, this is a good time to go through everything that I've been talking about in this to see what you would do. I'm sure anybody would not know until it happens. I'm not even sure what I would do if it happened. My first inkling would be, if I had the gas mask and ready to go, I'd send the rest of the family away, and I might stay there to defend the home. If it looked too unsafe, well, we got our bug out bags and we're ready to go. We put them in, we load them up, and we get out of here. And that leads to the final thing I want to talk about in this video tonight is, if you do go, where are you going to go? Do you want to be stuck in a shelter with the unwashed masses of everybody else over there? Or do you have a bug out location? Do you have friends or family already predetermined that if an emergency happens, they're okay with you stopping by because you're bringing your stuff and you're bringing some supplies with you? You're not going to be a burden to them. They're going to take you in. You're going to be there to help. You're going to bring food and everything that supplies for your family. If you have baby, you bring your diapers and all those things. If you're bugging out, have a plan for that. Have your supplies packed up or in totes, ready to go. And like I said, the location picked out. Do you have a location? You don't want to end up in a shelter if you don't have to. But if you do, you have your bug out bag with you and you make the best of it as you can. So that's the gist I wanted to get out with this really quick tonight, since this is going on right now. But just think about this. In your instance, what's happening? Go through it all. Like I said, make a checklist. Will you stay? Will you go? Do you have the stuff to survive or not? Do you have the preps ready to go? All that stuff. If you are met with the sheriff, are you going to be forced out? You're going to demand to stay? What are the consequences of that? Role play all that, with your family and your significant other, and make sure you're all on the same page. And let's hope everybody over there is safe tonight. Let's hope this thing gets put out. Everybody can return to their houses and go back to living, back to normalcy, back to their normal life. So until next time, keep your ear to the ground, head on a swivel.